everyone, it's Sharana from Pay Your Weight, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Apple TV Plus series, Defending Jacob, Episode 7, Job. J-O-B. You guys, I know I have been sporadic with my Defending Jacob reviews, but I had to do a video for this because this was hands down the best episode of the season so far. It literally made me so sad because I was just like, this episode is so good that I can't believe that we only got one more episode left. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, the episode opens up and we see Raggedy Judas. I know his name is Neil Judas, but I will forever call him Judas because he is a traitor to Andy, okay? Period. Name's only going to be Judas. So Judas and Andy, they're talking, and so essentially they're having a bar and they're having a beer at the bar, and so this is clearly back in the day before Neil became Judas. But we see that Andy is giving him, he's basically giving him info on how to, like, be a better prosecutor, how to win his cases better, giving him tips on making sure, like, make sure you make eye contact with the jury, make sure you let them know that you are one of them, make sure that you never refer to the defendant as their name, because that will make them human. That will make them want to sympathize with them even if the defendant is guilty. And so it's interesting how we're going through this. But we have come to the point where Jacob is actually going to trial. So trial has begun, and so we have these opening statements. And so we see that essentially Andy asked Joanna, like, hey, I want to be second chair. So they motioned to have him included in that. Even the judge was like, I don't agree with this. And even Joanna was looking like, child, it's the wish of the family. I ain't got nothing to do with this. They pay me. He said he want to be my second chair. I don't care as long as the check clears. That doesn't matter, okay? That's not what she said, but I'm just saying that's what she was probably thinking. So he go ahead and allows it, even though he was just like, I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea, but you do what you want, boo, okay? It's your world. We just living in it. And so also, too, they decided they're going to get his father's criminal record thrown out because at the end of the day, this case is about Jacob. It's not about Andy. It's not about Andy's father. It is literally about Jacob and whether or not he killed Ben Rifkin, and so that gets thrown out as well. So we get into the opening statements, and man, Judas, okay, let's talk about Judas for a moment. Because first of all, when he made the statement talking about murder is the family business, I said, sir, the pettiness, like I was here for it, but I wasn't here for it because I'm not going for Judas. But I was like, wow, you really said that? Murder is a family business, honey? So actually, I'm in the process of reading the book right now, and I thought he was so petty for saying that, but in the book, it gives a little bit further context into why that might actually be an okay term given the Barber family history, but they didn't go through it in the show. I don't know why, because it is a crazy backstory. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who does plan to read the book, but I was just like, Judas, like I was here for the pettiness, but I was like, no. Then when he did the stab wounds, he was like, 1, 2, 3. I said, Judas, his family, the boy's family, the mother and father is right behind you while you're emotioning them somebody stabbing their kid. I was just like, can you have some sympathy for like the people that you're supposed to be taking care of to defend their dead son? I was just like, wow, like that's what we doing, Judas? That is what we're doing? I was like, he was really messy in these opening statements. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you about Joanna Klein, okay? Joanna Klein was so good in this episode that I said, you know what? I will hire Joanna Klein to argue away my Sally Mae loans, okay? Because when she got into that knife, okay? Because, you know, Jacob's dad, Andy, he took the knife, he threw the knife away. So they're trying to, like, connect that to Jacob. But when she was like, I mean, how many knives do you think, you know, could have been a part of the murder weapon? You know, what you say about 500 to 700? I was like, do you see how smooth she did that? Like, Joanna just so calm, cool, and collected that it was just like, that was effortless. She was just like, what now, Judas? What are you going to do? And I was like, we are winning until, just until, I don't even know, I'm going to save that because that really hurt me. That part when Derek Raggedy behind his friend, his supposedly one of his best friends, Jacob's best friend, Derek, when he got on stage and he talked about that story, I just got to get a couple of moments because I was so mad when I was watching it that I had to pause and walk away. And I just had to meditate to myself to calm my nerves down because I was like, lock Jacob up. All right. But there's another situation that the Barber family is dealing with because Lori, as she's running, she sees that a car is following her. Andy saw when he was taking the trash out that it was a car. They can't really make out, who has the car. They know there's a man that was involved. Andy finally thought he was going to be about that life and go talk to him. And then Father O'Leary, he was getting a little shady. But he was like, you know what? You might get hurt, sir. You might want to back away, okay? Because I'm about that life. I will mess you up. Keep trying me. But we see that he ends up getting the license plates. He gives the license plate information to Duffy. Duffy tells him that, hey, it's a stolen car. It's registered to a Honda Accord, but that's clearly not the car that Father O'Leary was in. But we see that later Duffy, she was about that life, okay? Because she was like, what's good? Can I get some identification? What are you doing here? He tried to be like, I can't just sit in a parked car. She's like, your license, okay? Give me some ID because I need to figure out who you are. But I personally think that Father O'Leary has something to do with his dad, Andy's dad. I think that Andy probably hired him to just watch over them, just make sure everything's okay, given everything that they're going through. That's just like my little theory that I have, and I haven't gotten to this part of the book yet because I'm trying to read it as the TV show is happening. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think? Do you think Father O'Leary is hired by his dad? Because they say he worked for people, he's like a contractor, he's like muscle. So that's what I'm thinking that it probably is. But we see that, actually, I'm going to pause because I feel as though during the court proceedings, I thought everything was going great until we have this really big revelation that happens in court. But I do want to go into kind of some things that were happening with Jacob throughout the course of the episode. And most importantly, I find it very odd that Sarah and Jacob, that they're still allowed to talk. First of all, Sarah, he called you a slut. When he called you a slut, you should have read him for filth. You should have just trashed him and you should have blocked him. So I really don't understand why you're still talking to him. I really don't understand it at this point, why you guys are having any communication amongst one another. But basically, he had a nerve to text her hey. And then she was responding back, and then he was like, oh, I hope I can get some free ice cream. So you called me a slut, you stopped talking to me, then when you hit me up, you asking me for some free ice cream? Sir, what? What are we doing? I don't understand. I was just like, Sarah, where are your parents? Where are your parents? I haven't seen them all season, Sarah. Where are your parents? Seriously, where are your parents? But we see that Duffy ends up finding the violent porn on his computer. And so this is something that came up. We talked about the cuddle porn earlier in the couple of episodes prior, where it's kind of this revenge porn, killing people porn, castrate people. It's a lot of stuff that happens with cuddle porn. I was like, child, what are these little kids into these days? But I love how Joanna so effortlessly, so just cleverly, it's Duffy. I mean, she didn't say Duffy like that, but I'm just saying, how many people, when you confiscate computers, don't you find porn? How many times do you find porn on their computers? She was all the time. What do you mean? Everybody. I don't know not one person who didn't have porn on their computer. So it's kind of just I don't understand. But one of the biggest things that happens during the trial is they basically have Judas not be able to bring up his father in any way, shape, or form. And so this is so they don't have them talk about the murder gene, kind of what the prosecution's defense is going to be as to that he can have this impulsive, premeditative anger, this temper that can just go like that to cause him to make a quick impulse decision, like murdering Ben Rifkin. And so they have this thrown out. They're like, hey, it's about Jacob. It's not about his father or his father's father. This is about Jacob. And so they have that thrown out. However, during the line of questioning with Lieutenant Duffy, he basically uses Duffy because we see that he made him mad earlier in the previous episode where, he brought up his father to let him know, hey, we know about your father. We know that he's Bloody Billy Barber. So, sir, I know about your family. Violence runs in the family, okay? It's the murder. It's the family business, okay? So he uses that to bring up the father. And then at this point, Joanna was like, hell to the no. We called for a mistrial. He wasn't supposed to do this. But the judge was like, calm down, Joanna. Sir, you on your last leg. Do it one more time, and then I'm going to grant them their mistrial. I was like, Judas, what are you doing? Why are you trying to do the most? But you know what? I say that Duffy toughed it out as much as she could for Andy. So I think she did fine, even though she had to talk about him roughing up Judas before. It was okay. But we do find out that Ben was really bullying Jacob. At this point, he was calling him gay, making jokes about it, bullying him at school. So this is to establish the prosecution's motive that Jacob had to kill Ben Rifkin. And so also too, this is when we get into the craziest part of the episode. You guys, I do not understand. So Derek Rady behind us on stand, okay? And so he is talking about the story. And we was like, story, what? So then we see that Joanna has to go up and figure out, like, you know, what is this? She starts reading this story, and then she goes back to him, and she was just like, is it bad? And she's like, hell yeah, it's bad. I mean, she didn't say that, but like, we knew something bad was coming. So then he starts reading this story that Jacob wrote, basically detailing killing this kid. Obviously, it's like the killing of Ben Rifkin, but with the names changed and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, hell no. Lock him up. Lock him up. I was just like, wow, Jacob, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Like, you really sat up here and wrote a story, and then you didn't tell your daddy, you didn't tell your lawyer, like, you didn't tell nobody that you did it so they can try to clean it up? What were you thinking? That's the problem. You don't think. So the best moment of the episode is when they get into the car, and literally Andy just turns around and he is just like, did you do it? And then I was like, Lori's still looking shook, like, she been like this for the past 2 episodes. Because, like, obviously she thinks her son is a murderer. And then he was like, I didn't think it was a big deal. I wanted to reach through the screen, grab him by his neck, like, you didn't think it would matter? You didn't think that you needed to tell me? We already caught your raggedy behind on the internet with an internet profile making these little fake psycho memes. And I'm mad right now just thinking about it, y'all. I can't even talk about it no more because that's how heated I was. I'm getting heated all over again. And I was just like, wow, lock him up. Throw away the key. Like, I have no more sympathy to give to you, Jacob. I have nothing else to give. But when he turned around and asked him, did you do it? I felt that. Baby, I felt that. I felt that in my soul when he said that. Because not Andy. Andy been like, my son is not a murderer. He been looking at his wife crazy like, no, he didn't do it. Why are you thinking he did it? Like, what is happening? And so, and when they get home, we see that they're kind of having like this discussion. And so they decided they want to put Sarah on the stand. And basically so they can, you know, just help their case in some way, shape, or form. Because this is a big blow for the defense at this point. And he was like, I don't want Sarah on the stand. And he was like, sir, after today, you don't get a say anymore. But this goes back to previous episode when they were first meeting with Joanna. And Joanna was like, hey, this is your trial. We'll do things your way. This is not about your mother. It's not about your father. You make the decisions for yourself. But I was like, oh, hell no. You don't get to say no more. I was like, thank you, Andy. I should have been said that from the get-go. But no, are you serious? Like, you think you got something to say? I don't even know why you at the table right now. Take your behind to your room, all right? But even though we didn't think that was enough, we see that he tries to contact Sarah, but I'm just like, why? I was like, thank you, Sarah, for finally ignoring the phone call. I mean, it took for him writing a story. There were so many other reasons why you didn't need to talk to him, especially after he called you a slut. But I'm happy that you decided to get some standards for yourself and ignore his phone calls, his little texts. I was like, sir, after today, you really think it's okay to call or text her? Stop it. So we see towards the end of the episode, we see that Lori and Andy have this conversation. And I can sense that there's a lot of tension between them, but they really don't talk about it. And there's no real interactions amongst Andy and Lori to really help you understand the their marriage deteriorating. I don't know why that was so tough for me, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. But it's this conversation that she has, and she was like, hey, did you know about the story? And he was like, no, of course I didn't know. She's like, okay, well, did you know about the porn site? He had to get quiet. Yes, you knew about the porn site. And I'm happy that Lori actually brings this up because it feels as though that they've been living these 2 separate lives, that Andy is so busy being out playing detective, father, cop, prosecutor, whatever, trying to figure out who is actually responsible for the death of Ben Rifkin, that he's forgetting that he has to handle his job as a husband and be there for his wife and for his son. And the fact that she has never been through something like this, and you can tell that Lori has obviously been having a very hard time dealing with this since the beginning of the season that I was just like, they have to be on the road to divorce, because after the thing about your dad and now you kept this from me, like, what do you mean? And so when she basically told him like, hold on. Like, let me tell you something. Like, I don't believe Jacob. Let me be clear. Like, it's not nothing for me to figure out anymore. Like, he did it. And so, and then he was like, what do you mean? He said a lie. Like, you know, that's what kids do. And then she kind of made a thing like, no, like, he learned that from you. You're like a master of deception. Like, what are you talking about? And so I'm happy that they finally have this conversation that really shows that they're having a very rocky part of their marriage, because to me, I felt like the chemistry has been off since the first episode. I just never really believed them as a couple, but at least it makes a little bit more sense now why I would feel that way, because they're actually having issues in their marriage because of this trial and how everything is playing out. And me personally, because I just feel as though that Andy has not been there to help, like, be there for his wife. So even though we thought that was enough for the shocking reveals of the episode, we see Pat so raggedy behind sitting up here sweating, crying, writing this letter to Ben's parents talking about, I killed Ben. And I said, well, hell, I don't know what else to do at this point. I was telling them to lock Jacob up because I think Jacob got something to do with this. And me personally, I think either Lori left Andy or Jacob got killed somehow or committed suicide. Like, because Andy looks very distraught when we go into the flashes to the future, when he's at the grand jury, when he's talking to Judas. So I feel like something else happens, like, outside of the whole verdict aspect of it. That's just me, like, having my little conspiracy theories that are happening right now. But I'm going to finish reading the book before this week's episode, and I will make sure, I promise you, I will have the finale at 1 a.m. As soon as you get done watching, you can go watch my Defending Jacob review. But also, too, make sure you join my friend Nicole at Alamancer. She does Defending Daquan. We do a live tweet. I love joining. I had a great time last week doing it. She does a live tweet of the episodes this Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't say I didn't tell you. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday. Make sure you join us on the 29th. We will be live tweeting the season finale. Like, she has the best live tweets ever. So yeah, make sure you join us for that. But those are my thoughts on Defending Jacob episode 7, Job, which is the initials for, like, Jacob something Barber. I forgot, child. But yes, those are my thoughts on episode 7 of Defending Jacob. As always, my name is Sharona from Pay Your Weight. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.